Mediated negotiations between Israel and Hamas to reach a deal to free Israeli hostages in Gaza are set to restart this coming week. The decision came after the head of Israel's Mossad intelligence agency met the head of the CIA and the Prime Minister of Qatar. But Israel is continuing its offensive in Rafah and elsewhere in Gaza. Its military released images allegedly showing an assault in the north, where it claims to have destroyed rocket launching sites. The fighting has forced Palestinians to abandon the Jabalia refugee camp. The UN says more than 100,000 people have fled northern Gaza in recent weeks. Israel says it has a right to defend itself against Hamas and continue its campaign in Gaza, even though the International Court of Justice called on Israel to end its offensive. And for more, let's go to Deir al-Balah in Gaza, where we're joined by Hisham Mahana. He's a spokesperson at the International Committee of the Red Cross there. So very good to have you with us on DW, Hisham. So we hear that international criticism is mounting when it comes to Israel's fight against Hamas in Gaza, yet the fighting is go on, as we've heard. What is the situation on the ground?
Hello, Monica, and thank you for having me. The situation continues to become worse by the hour across different areas in the Gaza Strip. In the north in particular, people have been calling the International Committee of the Red Cross hotlines, asking for evacuations and asking to be transferred to receive medical treatment that is not available in the entire north of Gaza Strip, because the hospitals there, most of them have come to rubble or they are pushed out of service due to the hostilities. And they have become in a more dire situation there. And we have been witnessing that thousands of families had to evacuate again after many times of displacement, trying to run for their lives and trying to find a refuge or safe haven for themselves, for their babies, etc. In the south, the Israeli military operation continues in Rafah, and it's expanding. And so far, the estimates are around 900,000 people have fled already from Rafah after living for months in the most dire humanitarian situation. Right. And they have moved to areas that are not equipped with the basic infrastructure to provide people with the basic necessities, including sufficient amounts of food, drinking water, and healthcare service as well. And on top of all, safety and security, which right. makes it even harder for the humanitarian organizations and teams to maintain their humanitarian activities.
That is what I wanted to ask you, Hisham, because, I mean, you mentioned and you described vividly also the situation for families and children. Gaza, of course, having one of the youngest populations in the world. How can the Red Cross, how do aid organizations such as yours, what can they do in this, as you mentioned yourself, increasingly dire situation to protect civilians?
Well, the expectations are enormous and they keep increasing. The humanitarian situation can never be a solution to end the suffering, neither the military operation, only political efforts that can put an end to this bloodshed and the suffering of thousands of people and families on both sides of the border. Our humanitarian response has been significantly impacted, just like any other humanitarian organization. First, due to the hostilities, there's no safe place in Gaza. This is not such an environment in which humanitarian workers can work efficiently or achieve the bare minimum of a meaningful humanitarian response on the ground. And secondly, there is limited resources, including fuel, which impacts our movement, which impacts our humanitarian activities. We have been trying to provide an average of 50,000 hot meals on a daily basis across southern Gaza Strip. Now we can only offer 10,000 in some of the areas we can reach. Right. This is a very simple example of how humanitarian response has been impacted by hostilities.
Well, Hisham Mahana, spokesperson at the ICRC, talking to us live from Gaza. First of all, thank you so much for joining us, and also thank you so much for the work you're doing there. All the best.